The sun burned low over Oakland's industrial edge, casting long shadows on the cracked pavement outside Mama's diner. Aisha Coleman, 32, wiped her hands on her apron, her shift as a cook winding down. Her braided hair was tucked under a bandana, and her eyes, sharp from years of reading people, scanned the lot. Three bikers rode in, leather vests patched with skulls, their Harleys rattling the windows. Aisha stepped out to grab a smoke, her break hard-earned after a 10-hour shift. The tallest biker, a wiry man with a graying beard and a scar across his cheek, eyed her as she lit up. "Hey, sweetheart," he sneered. "This ain't your corner." His buddies laughed, one spitting on the ground. Aisha exhaled slowly, her jaw tight. "I work here," she said, voice steady. The leader stepped closer, his breath sour with beer. "Talk back, huh?" Without warning, his hand cracked across her cheek, the slap echoing. Pain flared, but Aisha didn't flinch. Her eyes locked on his, unflinching, as the other two jeered. She touched her cheek, feeling the sting. And something else, rage, cold and focused. The diner's door swung open, and her co-worker, Jamal, froze, phone in hand, already recording. Aisha's hand dropped to her pocket, where her keys hid a small legal stun gun. In one fluid motion, she pulled it out, pressed it to the leader's side, and triggered it. He hit the ground hard, convulsing, his buddies stumbling back in shock. Aisha stood tall, her voice low. "Touch me again, you're done." The other two hesitated, then lunged. She dodged, years of self-defense classes kicking in, and tripped one into the gravel. The third grabbed her arm, but Jamal was there, swinging a tire iron from his truck. The biker dropped, groaning. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone inside had called the cops. Aisha's heart pounded, but her hands were steady. She wasn't just a cook. She was a survivor, raised in a neighborhood that taught her to fight back. The biker's sneers were gone, replaced by fear as red and blue lights flashed closer. Aisha sat on a diner stool, eyes pressed to her cheek, as two officers took statements. The bikers, now cuffed and slumped in the back of a patrol car, glared through the window. The leader, Vince, spat curses until an officer shut the door. Jamal handed his phone to the police. The video clear. Vince's slap, Aisha's stun gun, and the quick takedown. "Self-defense," Aisha said, her voice calm but firm. The officer, a woman named Torres, nodded, her eyes kind but professional. "We've got enough here." "You're good," Miss Coleman. Aisha's cheek throbbed, but her mind was already racing. She knew men like Vince, bullies who'd come back harder if you didn't finish the fight. The diner's owner, Mama Rosa, a stout woman with grey curls, squeezed Aisha's shoulder. "Your family here. We've got your back." Customers murmured support, some clapping and as the patrol car pulled away. But Aisha felt no victory. She saw the bikers' vests, Hell's Reapers, a local gang with a reputation for grudges. Back home, in her small apartment above a laundromat, Aisha locked the door and checked her windows. Her brother, Malik, called, his voice tight. "You okay, sis?" "I saw the video online already." Aisha sighed, staring at her stunning bruise in the mirror. "I'm fine." "But this ain't over, Malik." A mechanic with his own history of street fights offered to stay over. She declined. "I handle my own." She pulled out a notebook, listing names. Vince, the tall one. Spider, the spitter. And Tank, the grabber. She'd overheard their names as they cursed. Aisha wasn't just angry. She was strategic. Her father, a retired boxer, had taught her to plan 3 moves ahead. She opened her laptop, searching the Reapers' hangouts, their bar, their garage. Social media posts showed their bikes, their tattoos, their arrogance. Aisha's stun gun was legal, but she knew the law wouldn't stop a gang's revenge. She needed leverage. By midnight, she'd mapped their usual spots and found a name. Rico, a former reaper turned informant, now running a gym across town. If anyone knew their weak spots, it was him. Aisha closed her laptop, her cheeks still stinging, and whispered, "You picked the wrong woman." Aisha walked into Rico's gym at dawn, the smell of sweat and rubber mats sharp in the air. Rico, a stocky man with faded tattoos and a cautious stare, leaned on the counter. "Heard about you," he said, glancing at her bruised cheek. "Reapers don't forget." Aisha slid him a coffee and got to the point. "I need dirt on Vince, Spider, and Tank." Rico raised an eyebrow, but didn't flinch. "You don't scare easy, do you?" She didn't answer, just held his gaze. He sighed, leading her to a back office cluttered with boxing gloves and old flyers. "Reapers run small time. Drugs, stolen bikes, protection rackets," he said. "Vince is the enforcer, but he's sloppy, owes money to a dealer named Cruz." Rico pulled out a burner phone and showed text from a contact labeled "See evidence of Vince's debts, late payments, and a side hustle skimming from the gang's take." Aisha memorized it. "What about Spider and Tank?" Rico smirked. "Spider's got a warrant, missed court for assault. Tank's on parole, one slip from jail." Aisha nodded, her plan forming. She turned their own rules against them. Back at the diner, she worked her shift, eyes on the door, stun gun in her apron. Jamal stayed close, his tire iron under the counter. By evening, Aisha met Malik at a quiet coffee shop. He slid her a USB drive. "Traffic cam footage from the diner's street," he said. "Shows their bikes circling before the hit." Aisha's lips twitched, a half smile. "You're good?" Malik shrugged. "You're scarier." She spent the night cross-referencing Rico's info with public records. Spider's warrant was active. Tank's parole officer was strict. Vince's debt to Cruz was the key. Aisha drafted an anonymous tip to Cruz's crew, hinting Vince was shorting them, and emailed it from a library computer. She then tipped off Spider's warrant to a local cop she trusted, Officer Torres. For Tank, she found his parole officer's contact and sent a photo of him at the diner, breaking curfew. Aisha didn't want blood. She wanted them broken. By morning, she felt the weight of her father's lessons. Hit hard, but hit smart. The Reapers were about to learn who they'd crossed. 2 days later, the Reapers' world started crumbling. Aisha sat in her apartment, laptop open, tracking the fallout. Cruz's crew had cornered Vince outside their bar, demanding payment. Social media buzzed with grainy videos of him pleading. His tough guy act gone. Spider was picked up on his warrant during a routine stop, cursing as cuffs clicked on. Tank's parole officer got the photo and scheduled a violation hearing. Aisha's tips, precise and untraceable, had done their work, but she wasn't done. She drove to Mama's diner, where a small crowd gathered. Locals who'd seen the video of her takedown. They called her a hero, but Aisha waved it off. "Just surviving," she said. Mama Rosa handed her a flyer for a community self-defense class she'd inspired. "You're teaching," Rosa insisted. Aisha hesitated, then nodded. That night she met Rico again, this time at a park bench under flickering streetlights. He slid her a folder, photos of the Reaper's garage where stolen bike parts were stashed. "Cops are watching it now," he said. "Your tip stirred the hive." Aisha took the folder, her face unreadable. "They'll come for me." Rico shook his head. They're too busy saving themselves. The next morning, police raided the garage, seizing parts and arresting 2 reapers. Vince, Spider, and Tank weren't there, but their names were on the evidence list. Aisha watched the news from the diner, her bruise fading, but her resolve ironclad. She called Torres, offering the traffic cam footage as extra leverage. "You're relentless," Torres said, almost laughing. "Learned it young," Aisha replied. By evening, she taught her first self-defense class in the diner's backlot, showing women how to pivot, strike, escape. The crowd grew. Mothers, teens, even a grandmother with a cane. Aisha felt her father's pride in her stance, her voice. She wasn't just fighting for herself now. The Reaper's threats had sparked something bigger. A community ready to stand up. Aisha's phone buzzed. Malik, warning her the Reapers were fracturing, some members turning on Vince for his debts. She smiled faintly. Her plan wasn't revenge. It was justice, dismantling their power, one calculated move at a time. She slept that night with her stun gun by her bed, ready but unafraid. A week later, Aisha stood outside Mama's diner, the lot quiet under a grey dawn. The Reapers were done. Vince was in jail, charged with theft and assault after Cruz's crew turned on him. Spider faced his warrant, and Tank's parole was revoked. The gang's garage was shuttered, their reputation in tatters. Aisha's tips, backed by Rico's intel and the diner's footage, had unraveled their operation. She didn't gloat. Victory wasn't loud for her. It was the calm of knowing she'd won. Inside, the diner buzzed with regulars, their chatter warm. Mama Rosa hung a photo of Aisha teaching her self-defense class, captioned "Our Fighter." Jamal, now her unofficial bodyguard, grinned as he refilled her coffee. "You're a legend," he said. Aisha shrugged. "Just did what I had to." Later, she met Malik at their dad's old boxing gym, now a community center. He'd framed a news clipping. "Local cook takes down gang." Aisha rolled her eyes, but let him hang it. "Dad would have loved this," Malik said. She nodded, throat tight. Their father's lessons, stand tall, plan smart, had carried her through. That evening, Aisha taught another class, the lot packed with women practicing strikes, their laughter mixing with determination. A young girl, maybe 15, mimicked Aisha's pivot, her face fierce. "This is for you," Aisha told her, seeing herself at that age. The community had changed. Less fear, more fight. Aisha's phone lit up with a text from Torres. "Case closed. You're safe." She exhaled, the weight lifting. At home, she sat at her small table, the stun gun now in a drawer. She wrote a letter to her dad, not to send, but to feel him there. "I kept my promise," she wrote. "I fought like you taught me." The bruise was gone, but the strength it sparked remained. Aisha looked out her window at Oakland's skyline, lights flickering like stars. She wasn't just a cook or a survivor. She was a force, reshaping her corner of the world. The Reapers had slapped her, thinking she'd break. Instead, she'd broken them. Not with fists, but with strategy and heart. She stood, turned off the light, and slept deeply. Her city quieter, safer, because of her. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned because more amazing stories are on the way.